A Right Royal Rumpus Setting the Stage, written by Stephen Fry. Good day, chaps. Let's journey back to the 18th century, shall we? Picture this. The American colonies, those plucky British offspring, are feeling a tad stifled. Imagine being told what to do from a land where tea is sacred, yet taxes are even more so. Unthinkable. The colonies, with their independent spirit, found themselves increasingly at odds with Mother England's overbearing ways. Parliament enacted taxes and regulations that left the colonists feeling like they were paying for the privilege of being British. It was all terribly uncivilized. Imagine paying for your own birthday party with lukewarm tea and a lecture on taxes. Not exactly a recipe for a jolly good time, is it? And so the seeds of rebellion were sown, destined to blossom into a right royal rumpus that would forever change history. Brewing a revolution. The tea wasn't the only thing steeping. The relationship between Britain and her American colonies had been strained for years, like a poorly brewed cuppa. The colonists, accustomed to self-governance, chafed under the heavy hand of the British Parliament. The 7 Years' War left Britain's coffers depleted, leading to ill-conceived taxes like the Sugar Act and the Stamp Act. These taxes were met with resistance, seen as an infringement upon their rights. Imagine paying a hefty tax on stamps or housing British soldiers. The cheek of it. The resourceful colonists responded with boycotts, protests, and smuggling. Groups like the Sons of Liberty made their displeasure known through dramatic means. Remember that tea party in Boston? The colonists weren't keen on tea taxes. Shots heard round the world, and so it begins. The tension, thick enough to spread on toast, finally snapped on April 19, 1775. British troops on a mission to seize colonial military supplies clashed with colonial militiamen in the towns of Lexington and Concord, Massachusetts. The shot heard round the world rang out, marking the beginning of open armed conflict between Britain and her colonies. The news of the skirmishes spread like wildfire, igniting a firestorm of outrage throughout the colonies. From Maine to Georgia, ordinary citizens, armed with muskets and a burning desire for liberty, answered the call to arms. Farmers, shopkeepers, blacksmiths, all became citizen soldiers, determined to defend their homes and their ideals. The British, caught off guard by the ferocity of the colonial resistance, found themselves facing a formidable foe, fighting not just for territory, but for an idea. Declarations and defiance putting quill to parchment. The colonists, initially hesitant to sever ties with the motherland, realized that this was no mere squabble over taxes. It was a fight for their very existence as a free people. On July 4, 1776, the Continental Congress, led by such luminaries as John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, and Benjamin Franklin, took a bold and irreversible step. They declared their independence from Great Britain, outlining their grievances in a document that would become a beacon of hope and inspiration for generations to come, the Declaration of Independence. Jefferson, with his elegant prose and unwavering belief in the rights of man, crafted a masterpiece of political philosophy. He argued that all men are created equal, endowed with certain unalienable rights, including life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The Declaration served as a powerful indictment of British tyranny and a rallying cry for freedom-loving people everywhere. The Fab Four and a few others, founding fathers and mothers. The American Revolution wasn't just about lofty ideals and fiery rhetoric. It was a grueling, bloody conflict that tested the mettle of a nation. Leading the charge were a remarkable group of men and women who would become known as the founding fathers and mothers of the United States. These weren't just stuffy politicians in powdered wigs. They were soldiers, statesmen, writers, and thinkers who risked everything for the cause of liberty. There was George Washington, the stoic Virginian general who held the Continental Army together through sheer force of will. John Adams, the fiery orator from Massachusetts, who never backed down from a fight, whether in the courtroom or on the political stage. Thomas Jefferson, the Renaissance man from Virginia, who penned the Declaration of Independence and envisioned a nation built on the principles of liberty and equality. And Benjamin Franklin, the witty diplomat and inventor, who charmed the French court and secured vital aid for the fledgling nation. From Concord to Yorktown, a whirlwind tour of revolutionary battlegrounds. The American Revolution was fought on battlefields from the fields of Massachusetts to the swamps of South Carolina. American forces, often outnumbered and outgunned, relied on their knowledge of the terrain, their tenacity, and their unwavering belief in their cause. The battles of Lexington and Concord, the siege of Boston, the battles of Saratoga, the winter encampment at Valley Forge, the Battle of Cowpens, and the siege of Yorktown. Each engagement marked a turning point in the war, testing the resolve of both sides. The colonists, led by skilled commanders like George Washington, Nathaniel Greene, and Henry Knox, learned to adapt to the brutal realities of war, employing guerrilla tactics and utilizing their knowledge of the land to their advantage. Treason and tea cakes, life on the home front. While the men were away fighting for their lives, the women on the home front kept the fledgling nation running. They managed farms, businesses, and households, often with little more than their wits and their determination. They sewed uniforms, made ammunition, and tended to the wounded, proving that patriotism knew no gender. Women like Abigail Adams, Mercy Otis Warren, and Esther de Burt Reed played vital roles in the Revolution, challenging traditional gender roles and proving themselves to be more than capable in the face of adversity. They wrote letters, published pamphlets, and organized fundraising efforts, all while keeping the home fires burning. A world turned upside down, international intrigue and assistance. The American Revolution wasn't just a colonial rebellion, it was an international affair that drew in some of the most powerful nations in the world. France, Spain, and the Netherlands, eager to see their rival Britain weakened, provided crucial military and financial support to the American cause. The French, still smarting from their defeat in the 7 Years' War, saw an opportunity to strike a blow against their old enemy. They provided money, weapons, and troops, most notably the Marquis de Lafayette, a young nobleman who became one of Washington's most trusted advisors. The Spanish and the Dutch also lent a hand, providing financial assistance and harassing British shipping lanes. Victory, huzzah! After years of struggle and sacrifice, the Americans, with the help of their European allies, finally prevailed. The decisive victory at Yorktown in 1781 forced the British to the negotiating table. The Treaty of Paris, signed in 1783, officially ended the war and recognized the independence of the United States of America. The treaty granted the newly formed nation a vast territory, stretching from the Atlantic Ocean to the Mississippi River and from the Great Lakes to the northern border of Spanish Florida. The United States had finally secured its place on the world stage, a beacon of hope for those yearning for freedom and self-determination. The legacy of liberty, shaping a nation and inspiring the world. The American Revolution was more than just a war for independence. It was a social and political earthquake that reverberated across the globe. The ideals enshrined in the Declaration of Independence, liberty, equality, and the pursuit of happiness, ignited a firestorm of revolution and reform that would transform the Western world. The success of the American experiment inspired revolutionaries and reformers in France, Haiti, Latin America, and beyond. The United States, founded on the principles of popular sovereignty and individual rights, became a model for emerging democracies around the world. And the colonies rejoiced. Well, most of them. The newly independent United States faced a daunting task, building a nation from scratch. The Articles of Confederation, the first attempt at a national government, proved to be too weak and ineffective. The Founding Fathers, realizing the need for a stronger union, convened the Constitutional Convention in 1787. The result was the United States Constitution, a remarkable document that has stood the test of time. It established a system of government based on the separation of powers, with checks and balances to prevent tyranny. The Bill of Rights, added in 1791, guaranteed fundamental rights and freedoms to all citizens.